Today we continue our NHL season preview with Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina has been a young and coming team. Do you think, Tommy, that they will be even better this season than last few ones, or are they reaching their top already?
I think Carolina has huge potential still, and they've been obviously playing really well for the past two seasons. After being pretty much a laughingstock for almost a decade in the NHL. So their rebuild is about done, but they are still inexperienced, very young guys. Got a little bit taste of the playoff hockey in the past two seasons. Of course, in the regular season, they were seventh last year, sixth last year and seventh the year before. But in the playoffs, they've been remarkably good, and no one really expected that from a very inexperienced team. Both years, they fell to Boston Bruins. So Boston is becoming a little bit of a nemesis for them. Luckily, they won't see them this year in the division again. So earliest again in the playoffs, if that happens. The expectations are of course high again in Carolina, reaching the conference finals first, and then last year promising beating of Rangers first, and then got beaten by Boston. But I think they are hungrier than ever, and also still a young team going forward leaps and bounds. How about our predictions? Have we been in the ballpark with the Hurricanes?
When we take a look of last three seasons, they have been a pretty average team in NHL. So home win percentage 55, away win 49, and basically, if you followed our simulations, there has been some value, not in many games, but around 28% of the home games positive expected value, and you generate some money because 57% of those games have been correct. Interesting nugget here in the statistic is that their away performance improves when they are further in their road trip. So when you are on the roll, you are on the roll. And they definitely won both back-to-back games on the road, as well as third or more road game in the same trip. So, like I said, their overall away win percentage is 49, but they won over 59% of their back-to-back games on the road, and 58.8% their games that are more than third one in the road trip. So I would think that this young team doesn't slow down when the travel gets heavy, and they need to put more effort in those last games on their road trip, and they really seem to perform very well in that sense.
It's an interesting trend for a Carolina young team, very energetic. Like you said, probably the young guys have their PlayStations and everything with them, so they're only getting better the longer they get to be away from home. Wow, it looks like. To take a look at the division, there is of course now a massive advantage not facing Boston Bruins at any point. They do have quite a tough challenge with the top of the Central Division. The four teams are quite clear, at least in our simulations, and then the bottom, Detroit, Chicago, Florida, and Columbus are all deemed to pretty much be out of the playoffs. So Carolina should be doing quite well this season, even if they would lose to the better teams, still reach the playoffs. Of course, the toughness of the team is being questioned already. Like we said, we've established it's a young team. They're very talented, very skilled players. Not so much of this old school hard-nosed stuff that they've been criticized quite a bit in the certain circles in the NHL that are not very happy with their antics. But I think they've already shown that they can't really be bullied around, except for maybe the Bruins actually. But otherwise, I think they will have a nice season ahead of them. How do you see the matchups with the divisional opponents this time around? There has been a lot of changes, so they're only facing one familiar team, and everything else is quite new for them.
Yeah, this familiar team, Columbus Blue Jacket, is maybe the brand of hockey that creates some problems for them because quite opposite way of playing to the Carolina's skillful and fast hockey. So Columbus and Carolina has faced 11 times, and Carolina win percentage is only 36. But other teams, maybe Tampa Bay has been in their own level, and that's 33% win percentage so far in last 3 seasons against Carolina. But all the other teams like Chicago 83%, Florida 78%, those have been quite easy teams for Carolina, and also Nashville and Detroit. Especially Nashville, a bit surprisingly, 83% win probability out of 6 games. So they won 5 out of 6 against Nashville in last 3 seasons. So that shows that they have capacity to win basically anyone. And then with these very top teams, that's something that we need to check in more detail when season goes on in this Discover Central division.
I always forget the new sponsor names. It's still just Central for me. Carolina team is pretty much the same as last season, so they haven't made any big changes. They're probably their only question mark is the goaltending. They have Petr Mrazek and James Reimer, who neither of them are really established number 1 keepers. Both have potential to be very solid, but there has been some inconsistency, and it's something that could prove a little bit of an issue for them. But they do, then to counter that, they do have one of the better defenses in the NHL, both in offensive talent and in two-way prowess. They have, of course, Jacob Slavin, one of the best two-way defensemen. Dougie Hamilton scored almost a point per game last season. And then there is Brett Pesci and Brady Say, came from Rangers last year. Didn't have much time to make an impact yet, but probably is going to slot in nicely in a little bit more defensive role. Jake Gardiner, experienced guy from Toronto, has issues defensively for sure, but also provides a lot of offense. So there is a lot of support for their offensive players in the defense, but they're also capable of keeping their own end clear, and they have a really good balance in the defense. Offense, of course, is run by our boy Sebastian Aho and Teuvo Teräväinen, so the Finnish duo, and very well complemented by Andrei Svechnikov. So the first line is one of the better ones in the league for sure. All players basically able to score a point per game, and they were all close to that last season as well, even if the season was cut short. Supporting troops maybe comparatively not that good, but still a lot of depth there. So secondary scoring is Nino Niederreiter, Vincent Trocek, Jordan Stahl, and Ryan Zingle. So there is some potential in there, but probably a little bit more backup and more production is needed from the bottom 6 players as well. They got Jesper Fast now, is looking to revive his career, so some potential there. And young guy Martin Nechas, the Czech hot prospect, should do better already. He scored around 30 points last season, so should do about the same this season with fewer games. So Carolina has a really potential team all over, and of course the defense is loaded, so they might make some moves to add a little bit of that firepower after the first line as well. But we'll see what happens on that. How about the season simulations of the Hurricanes? Have we been anywhere close in the past couple of seasons?
Yeah, actually we have been pretty well predicting them in season simulations. 3 years ago, we predicted Carolina not to reach playoffs, going under 92.5%. Actually, we predicted them to go 80 86 points, and they got 83, so that was very close. Then 2 years ago, our prediction was that they would go over 84.5% points. That was the line that time, and they went to 99 points, so clearly over, and also reached playoffs like you mentioned. And then last season, that was cut short. We predicted them to reach playoffs again, going under 95.5. So our prediction was 95, basically same, but half point lower than the Vegas line. And they got 81 points out of 68 games. So I think they would go very close to that line, either going a bit above or staying a bit below. So I think season predictions have been pretty accurate in Carolina's case. How about odds for the divisional win or even Stanley Cup? Because I think Carolina is that kind of team that even though they may not be built for traditional playoffs type of hockey that is very widely played in NHL, they have the speed and skill that may generate some Cinderella stories like a few years ago against the big guns in the East.
Yeah, they definitely have the potential to mix it up, and 2 years ago they took the teams by surprise with their really fast-paced game, and probably none of the teams were actually prepared for that. Now the opponents know pretty much what to expect, but at the same time, Carolina is a lot better team than 2 years ago, for example, with the young guys gaining some experience and tasting the fruit of the play of hockey as well. Carolina was a laughingstock so long time that it's a really refreshing thing to see them compete now, and they are definitely contenders again. And the moves that we were speculating earlier, maybe they will send a defenseman somewhere to gain a little bit of scoring, which would make them even bigger threat in their division at least. Their odds to win the division are plus 400. They are, I think, second favorites in that category, so not much value there. Pretty much exactly the same as the simulations indicate. For Stanley Cup, it's plus 2,350, so also very well in line with the simulations. So there is probably not so much value for a smart money here, and I would take a look at the line if it ever comes out, the total points, and see how it is, because like we've been saying, this division seems like it's very much divided into that there is the top 4 teams and then the bottom 4 teams. So the top 4 teams should fetch a bit more points probably than expected, but we have to wait and see. I hope the lines will come up early next week.
Very good. We'll wait and see, and we also need to see what kind of moves Carolina make, if any, before the season, because the rumors are going strong in this front.
Yeah, let's do that.